Merry Christmas to all my Sentry units. It's the Sentryman here, so back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. If you're watching this after December 25th, Merry Christmas! It's Christmas time in this video, so sit down, enjoy a nice hot cup of cocoa or whatever beverage you like. Sit between the fire and enjoy my review of WWF In Your House 5 Season Beaten. So this show was at Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the land of chocolate, on the 17th of December 1995. The attendance of the show was 7,289. In Your House 5 drew about 80,000 pay-per-view buys. That is the lowest bought pay-per-view in the company's history. And at the time, I think ECW's December to Dismember broke that, in 2006. Yeah, 1995 for the WWF was bad, bad characters, bad cheesy gimmicks, WCW did Nitro in September. That really knocked the Federation off its perch for about 3 years until they knocked them off their perch. Yeah, and speaking of WCW, on that side, in that same month, they did Starrcade 95, the World Cup of Wrestling. That show drew about 75,000 pay-per-view buys. WWF beat them by 5 buy rate. Even though Starrcade was on a Wednesday, this is a weekend pay-per-view. I don't want to get in details why the pay-per-views are bad for both companies. Maybe it's has to do with Christmas, People are spending a lot of money for Christmas, buying presents, for the loved ones. So maybe they don't want to put dip around their pockets or purse to purchase a pay-per-view. It's just what it is. So the commentators for In Your House 5, we got Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler. This is the company's first December pay-per-view for 4 years. The last time they did a pay-per-view in December was Tuesday Night in Texas. That was in 1991. The main event was, the Survivor Series 91 rematch between The Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. That was ending the schmaz. Hogan regained the belt. I reviewed that show years ago. That was not that good, but yeah, and that was the last time they done a pay-per-view in December until this show, In Your House 5 Season Beatens, and they've been doing it ever since. I think the last December pay-per-view they did for the company was in 2020. I think it was Clash of Champions. Don't think they did a TLC. Maybe they did TLC. I think it might be TLC. I might be wrong. But I'm glad, I understand why they do December pay-per-views, because at the time WWF did started to expand their pay-per-view schedules. Not just doing 5 pay-per-views a year. The big 5 pay-per-views like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. So decided to fill the gaps. Doing pay-per-views in April, May, July, September, October, and December to fill out the calendar year. And they've been doing that ever since. So yeah. Let's talk about In Your House 5. This show is memorable for 2 matches. One, the infamous hog pen match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Henry O. Godwin. And 2, the SummerSlam 1992 rematch between Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, this time for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. I'll get to those 2 matches later on in this review. And by the way, this show is in Pennsylvania. This is in ECW country. And they also, months prior, they did King of the Ring 95 in Philadelphia. And that was a bad show. I also reviewed that show in the past, so let's do the quick results of the dark matches before we get to the actual matches on the show. So we had Savio Vega defeat Bob Backlund in 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Goldust defeats Duke Droese, the Dumpster Droese, in 6 minutes and 38 seconds. And there was an 8-man tag team match. Barry Horowitz, Hakushi, and the Smoking Guns defeat Yokozuna, Isaac Yankem, that's the Future Kane by the way, and the Body Adonis skipping it with Sonny in their corner in the 11 minutes and 38 seconds. So the first match to kick off In Your House 5 Season Beatings. This is the only tag team match of the night. We got Razor Ramon and Marty Jannetty taking on the 1-2-3 Kid and Psycho Sid, managing by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase Sr. This is just a continuation of the rivalry between Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid. The Kid turned on Razor Ramon to align himself with Ted DiBiase Sr. and the $1 Million Corporation. Because at this moment in time, it's still a faction, but IRS is now no longer with the company. He's now in WCW as Michael Wall Street or VK Wall Street. Anyway, so it's still a faction at the time. I think the faction was disbanded because, you know, DiBiase ended up going to WCW. But anyway, I think it cost Ramon and Jannetty matches at Survivor Series. You know, one lost the match. Razor got eliminated by the distraction by the 1-2-3 Kid. You know, this is like the Kid's first run as a heel. Anyway, so the match itself was good. My only nitpick about this, it was a bit boring. Like, Sid is just not good in the ring, you know. They only push him because it's funny that he ended up becoming the world champion the following year, but he's only there because of his size. You know, some people compare him to Brock. I kind of disagree. You know, physique wise, but in the ring wise, no. But you got guys like Ramon, Kid, and Jannetty kind of carried Sid to a passable match. You know, like I was looking at my phone a little bit. You know, it got a bit boring. I like the chemistry between 1-2-3 Kid and my Jannetty. You know, Jannetty's a bit really underrated, one of the most underrated workers. I think 1-2-3 Kid and Jannetty, were they a tag team? The New Rockers, or maybe I'm thinking about Jannetty and Al Snow, because at the time Al Snow became Leif Cassidy. I don't know, but anyway, so in the end, Razor pinned Sid with the Bulldog. Afterwards, he was going for like the Razor's Edge onto the Kid. Sid pulled him out, and that was it. So yeah, it's a fun match, you know. Even though Sid is not a good worker, even though it's just sad, you know, early this year he just passed away. He's no longer with us, but I think with the three guys, he kind of carried him to a decent, good match. And like I said, this is just a continuation of Razor's rivalry. He's not just like, he's still in this rivalry with the 1-2-3 Kid. He's also beginning this rivalry with Goldust. You know, there was during this match there was a cut screen of, you know, Todd Pettingill interviewing Goldust. He's attending the show, sitting next to an usher. And this is the start of his gimmick, you know, being this gay character in that night. This is before Marlena came to the picture, you know. And I don't want to get into that, you know. That's another story for another time. But it's like back then was unacceptable. Right now it's acceptable. You know, this whole woke area I'm not going to talk about in this video. It's one of these topics I don't want to talk about. So, and by the way, Ramon and Kid had that blow off at the next In Your House show in February, in a crybaby match, you know. And by the way, this match is, you know, this is like the third to last matches for both Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid, because In Your House 6, this is probably their last match in their first run of the companies, because they end up leaving the company in 1996, go to WCW, because X-Pac came back, we won't see Hall again until 2002. For Sean Waltman, he came back in 1998, it's X-Pac, but it's funny, like, this is their third, really their one of their final matches in their first run in the company, even though I think he's been in the company for like 2 years. And both Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid end up like leaving the company in the early starts of 1996. So besides that, this match was a good way to kick off the pay-per-view. Even though it's not a great match, but it's more like a 3-star match. So let's move on to the next. Before we get to the next match, there's one segment. Jarrett the King Lawler and Jeff Jarrett. You had Lawler giving Jarrett a present. The present is a golden record because of his record album, his hit single "With My Baby Tonight." Jarrett, basically he's just rambling, putting himself over, rambling, going about like he's the best entertainer, the best wrestler, the best singer. He brings up his World Tour, and he announced that he's going to be the first entry of the 1996 Royal Rumble match, and then he joined Lawler on commentary for the next match. So the next match we got Buddy Landel taking on Ahmed Johnson. Originally it was supposed to be Dean Douglas taking on Ahmed Johnson, but he's injured. You had Dean Douglas, by the way, Shane Douglas, the franchise, the former ECW World Champion. He came out saying like his back is not 100%. He's technically 60%. He announced his apprentice is gonna step in to face Ahmed Johnson, and that is Buddy Landel. That's about Dean Douglas. By the way, it's Shane Douglas. By the way, he made his return to the company. He was in the company before in 1990, 1991. He was kind of like a jobber at this moment in time, but he came back as Dean Douglas after his run of ECW came to the end, his first stint. So he came back came back to the Federation early that year until about 1995. He came back in July. In September, I think it was In Your House 3 or 4. He became the Intercontinental Champion. He was supposed to face Shawn Michaels for the championship, but Shawn, I think he got assaulted in Syracuse. Was it Syracuse? Can't pronounce the city, in New York. So Ray Safilian beats Dean Douglas for the championship. By the way, Dean Douglas his title reign is the shortest Intercontinental title reign of all time. Last about 20 minutes. So anyway, let's talk about this match. Ahmed Johnson versus Buddy Landel. Buddy Landel is just a Ric Flair ripoff because the last match, a last show I cover featuring Buddy Landel was Great American Bash 1990. He's just a Ric Flair ripoff. He just reminds people of Ric Flair. Even though Ric Flair, I know the first Nature Boy was Buddy Rogers, but I'm talking about like the most famous Nature Boy is Ric Flair. He came out with the long bleached blonde hair, the robe. He came out with the theme. It's a close of the 2001 Space Odyssey. I think it's the theme when Flair debuted the company in 1991. He's just even though Flair's in better physique, I think Flair's physique in his prime was a bit better than Landel's physique, but Landel's physique is trash. He's fat, bang average, but anyway, he did like the chops, but he did the chops. Ahmed kind of like he kind of non-sells the chops. Hit Buddy Landel with the Pure River Plunge for the win. So this is a squash match, by the way. It's the shortest match of the night. Only lasts about 45 seconds. And he kind of hit and he kind of spanked Dean Douglas' ass with the chop. I think it's a chalkboard or educational board, something like that. Because at the time he was doing the teacher gimmick. This is a decade before Matt Striker do that gimmick, even though Matt Striker in real life was a teacher before becoming a wrestler. But anyway, so after that you had Lawler interviewing Ahmed Johnson. He tells Jeff Jarrett, what do you think about Ahmed Johnson's performance in this match? He say no. Basically, it was just the heels talking trash towards Ahmed Johnson. Sorry, get my words tongue twisted, but they're basically talking shit towards Ahmed Johnson, and then I think Jarrett brings up his athlete background, his American football background. Even though Jarrett never beat in the NFL, Ahmed Johnson did. He trained. I think he played for the Dallas Cowboys. Anyway, so and then you had Ahmed Johnson said he kind of like talk shit towards Jarrett, saying like you're an achy breaker heart wannabe, you're a fake cowboy, and then Jarrett hit Ahmed Johnson in the head with the gold record. Ahmed chased Jeff Jarrett out of the ring, and this, by the way, set up Ahmed Johnson, Jeff Jarrett um, at the Royal Rumble the following month. So yeah, this stuff sucks. You know, with the stuff with Lawler giving Jarrett the gold record and the post match interview and beatdown. It's just I feel like it's something you see on Raw, not on a pay per view. You're spending a lot of money. I'll get to my overall thoughts of this show in the end. So. And by the way, this is Dean Douglas' final WWF pay-per-view appearance of his second run because he suffered a back injury, and then I think he had a bust up with Vince. I think he said in interviews that he got paid less. He left the company in New Year's Day 1996. He ended up came back to ECW. His first show back in ECW was CyberSlam. That was also the debut of Brian Pillman. Yeah, it's a really shame for Dean. I feel they really dropped the ball with Dean Douglas. It's funny, like two companies purchase and sign two biggest stars from ECW. Because WCW signed Sabu, but he appeared in two matches on. I think it's 2 matches on Nitro. He appeared 1 on a pay per view, and they never do anything. He ended up leaving, going back to ECW. This was Dean Douglas. I think he had plans for him. They give him the IC title belt, and then also then drop the ball with him, and I think they did, and I don't think he came back. It's a shame. I think they did Shane Douglas dirty, and I think he is frustrated with both in WCW and WWF. That's part of his character in ECW. I think it was maybe in his first run, but in his second run. But it's just sad. I wish they really had more plans for Dean Douglas. He's he's good in the ring, good talker, but it's just what it is. I don't want to get in details of it. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. So the next match, we got the infamous hog pen match. Yep, we got the Arkansas hog pen match. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, that's Triple H for short, taking on Henry O. Godwin with Hillbilly Jim as the special guest referee. So Hillbilly Jim make his return to the company after 5 years. He left the WWF in 1990 and soon retired from wrestling. He's been in the company he's been at wrestling since 1975. He retired in 1990. He had a brief return to the company in 1995, co-hosting Primetime Wrestling, and then that show was cancelled because of Monday Night Raw. So he came back in 1995, this time gonna manage the Godwins, that is just Henry and Phileas. Phileas is the future medium, by the way. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, this is second or third match, because he debuted that summer. He came from WCW, by the way. Anyway, so, this match, I thought this match sucked. It kinda sucked, but, yeah, I think this match was okay. I thought it could be good, but instead it got a little boring. It was 8 minutes long, but it felt like the fight in the ring, then the fight towards the hog pen, then fighting back in the ring. It's just going back and forth. It's got really, really boring. And also the rules of this match, you have to throw your opponent in the hog pen. You have some brief moments, like I think one more in the match, you had I'm gonna call him Helmsley. He's not really called Triple H yet. So that will be like when he was part of DX in 1997. But Helmsley kind of throwed, I think it was Godwin into the. Again, he kind of bulldogging onto the steel steps. He did like the Cactus Jack elbow onto the fence of the hog pen. That was cool, even though the guy's like 6'4". Anyway, so. Really, Helmsley suffered a back injury. Not like not a back injury, but like he had a massive cut on his back. I think it was on a metal fence of the hog pen. I'm trying to keep it short and simple. In the end, Triple H or Helmsley, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, kind of back body drop Henry O. Godwin into the hog pen for the win. Afterwards, you had a shoving match between Hillbilly Jim and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. After, Hillbilly Jim raising Helmsley's hand up to victory, and Helmsley refused. Pushed him. Hillbilly Jim pushed him back, and I think like and then Henry Godwin pulled him into the hog pen, and Triple H was covered in shit. You know, he's covered in dog shit, pig shit. You know, I don't. You know, it's kind of funny seeing like he's falling in the mud and the put and the shit in the hog pen. That was kind of more entertaining than this match. You know, yeah, they had moments with the slip bucket. You know, like I think like one more of the match. You know, you had Henry O'Godwin trying to throw Helmsley with the bucket of slop, but instead hit the I think it was the young Tommy Chimmel. He kind of covered his face with the slop. He looks like it. It felt like it's not slop. It felt like it was a bucket of soup, like vegetable soup. But instead, I don't know. It might be slop, but anyway. So yeah, I don't know what he cut. Yeah, he had a massive cut on his back. Must be he got Irish whip onto the metal portion of the hog pen. So there was one legendary story that Owen Hart kind of like did a rip towards Vince. You know, released the pigs towards Vince's office. You know, that was kind of like you know, because Owen's known for being the prankster. You know. But anyway, so yeah, this match was okay. It's funny with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the guy will end up becoming a multiple-time world champion. You know, he became a main eventer and also running the company to this day. But besides that, I think he, you know, even though I think this hog pen match was a bit boring, but he kind of made it work. This is the first of 2 hog pen matches they did. The next time they did it will be in 2009, revolve around Santina, Morella, and Chavo Guerrero. That's just like, I glad they never do more hog pen matches, man. They're just kind of like it's just one of these gimmicks, you know, that end up being massive fails. Depending on what era of wrestling, you know, it is, you know, like not really panning out. So let's move on to the next match. So yeah, the next match we got Owen Hart taking on Diesel. Owen Hart representing Camp Cornette, you know, with Jim Cornette in his corner. This is Diesel's first pay-per-view match since dropping the WWF Championship to Bret Hart at Survivor Series the previous month. So he's a tweener at this moment in time. You know, he's pissed off. You know, he's lost the championship. You know, he's sick being phony. This is before the whole, you know, this is before kayfabe is broken. You know, this is before why is real, why is reality, why is fake, why is reality, something like that. So at the same time, you know, Owens taking credit because he injured Shawn Michaels in a match. You know, Shawn suffered concussions. You know, he did an interview. By the way, this is like, well, a few months. This is like a year and a half or 18 months before the whole Shawn lost his smile. You know, forfeit the WWF Championship. You know, after winning the belt from Sid. You know, that's another story, another time. I don't want to get into that. So Owens taking credit. You know, and then Diesel's fighting for his best friend, because even though they are friends in real life, part of the clique. Anyway, so this match on paper looks like could be a good match, you know, but unfortunately it was disappointing, man. I felt like with Diesel had more offense than Owen, and it has to do with booking of Diesel. Like one moment, like he's pissed off, he's lost the championship, you know, he's, and then another thing, he's fighting for the honor of his best friend. Even though he's still a babyface, he's like preaching, like shaking the hands of the fans of Diesel. If he's got like the black glove around his hand, you know. But this match not bad, but it was okay. But it was a screwy finish, you know. In the end, you know, Diesel was going. He hit. I think he hit Owen Hart with the jackknife powerbomb. He's about to pin him, but instead he wants to hit him with another one. He pulled, he kind of pushed or shoved Tim White, the referee, out of the way, caused disqualification, hit like 2 more jackknife power bombs, left the ring, and that was that. Afterwards, he was shaking hands, or really not shaking hands, kind of praising his fans, his Diesel fans, you know. This is a screwy finish, you know. It's similar to Lex Luger's gimmick, you know, at the time, because at one moment he's like feuding with Randy Savage, part of the Dungeon and Doom. And the next thing, he's teaming up with Sting. It's just like very screwy booking. I don't want to get into that. So, and by the way, Shawn ended up like clear and went on to win the 1996 Royal Rumble match and go on to win to fulfill his boyhood dream. Yeah, and by the way, Diesel ended up turning full-blown heel. Actually, I'll explain one segment in the end, but besides that, man, it was an okay match. But I wish the booking was a bit better. And you know, Shawn and Owen will face at In Your House 6 in February for the WrestleMania 12 title opportunity. Before we get to the next match, there's one segment, you know, and this is like sums up the show. I'll get to my overall thoughts of the show in the end, but you have this segment between $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase Sr., Savio Vega, and Santa Claus. I don't want to get in details of it. I didn't really give a fuck. I don't want to talk about it, you know. It's not notable, but it just sums up the show. I'm guessing like DiBiase trying to buy Santa Claus. You think Santa Claus is real. Then you got this guy dressed up like Santa Claus beating up Savio Vega. And then he's trying to get his heat back, you know, attack the guy dressed up like Santa Claus, you know. And the guy removed his Santa's hat and beard. And by the way, that guy is Balls Mahoney. And he's known as the debut of Santa Claus. He's lived in the Southpaw. And I said to myself, what the fuck is this? You know, even though in 1995 in the WWF, you know, it's a lot of crappy, cheesy, cartoonish gimmicks, you know, Santa Claus. I don't know what the payoff is supposed to be. Even though, like, are they going to set up a match between a young Balls Mahoney and Savio Vega down the road? We don't know if they continue this angle, but for Balls Mahoney, this is his only appearance in his first run of the company, because actually he was part of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, that is Jim Cornette's company, but he ended up leaving. He ended up getting fired from the company because he ended up like assaulting George the Animal Steele due to money. So you won't see him again for another 10 years when ECW was brought back as a third brand. So it's just what a waste of time. Put it on TV, weekly TV, not on your pay-per-view, like you're spending a lot of money. So yeah, it was a waste of time. So the next match, we got the casket match. The Undertaker with Paul Bearer in his corner, taking on King Mabel with Sir Mo. This is revolved around a match, you know, months prior. Because let's talk about King Mabel actually. You know, in 1995, King Mabel won the 1995 King of the Ring tournament. He ended up falling short at SummerSlam, losing to Diesel for the World Championship. Then his downfall happened after SummerSlam. He has a reputation of injuring people in the ring. The most notable, he injured The Undertaker, you know, breaking his face. So Undertaker briefly in a short period wearing that Phantom of the Opera mask, you know, whatever it's called. I think it's a prototype of Kane's mask when he returned wearing the mask in 2011. I'm trying to keep it short and simple. The whole bulk of 1995 for The Undertaker is retrieving the urn, because he's been feuding with DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation. He fought against King Kong. He's been feuding since 1994, by the way, with the fake Undertaker. But he carried on in 1995 with King Kong Bundy, Karma, that's Karma Mustafa, the future Godfather. He melted the urn into a chain. Now with Mabel, you know, it's revolved around a fucking urn. Even though, you know, I don't understand why. I feel like Undertaker is like facing guys with no credibility, with cheesy gimmicks. You know, he's kind of like, you know, the world title opportunity for him is, he kind of like, it's on the wave side. You know, he's Twin Dealers fun. His world opportunities passed him by. You know, it's just like, you know, he's facing guys are so crap. You know, Bundy's past his best. Karma, before his pimp gimmick was over, was crap. So Mabel was just a crap push, you know. It's just like what it is. Anyway, let's get into this match. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. I did review his match in the Undertaker's Daily Matches on a DVD review I did 5 years ago. Go and check it out. It's just like I don't know why it's in the DVD set. You know, I don't call it a deadly match. It was a bore fest, to be honest. Even though it was 6 minutes, but I was looking at it on my phone, man. It was bored. It felt like it's more like 12 minutes. In the end, I'm keeping it short and simple. Undertaker, chokeslam Mabel, chokeslam Mo, retrieved the and that was it. So Undertaker won this match. He's doing the gesture that he wants to win the world title. And let's talk about the next match. So the next match is the main event. The main event, this is the SummerSlam 1992 rematch. This time is for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Bret the Hitman Hart defending the championship against the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, with Davey's wife Diana in his corner, and Jim Cornette, because at the time Bulldog is now part of Camp Cornette. So they had that match in 1992 for the Intercontinental title. It was in Davey Boy Smith, British Bulldog's home country of England. Even though he's from Manchester, that show was in London. Bulldog beat Bret for the IC title in the main event of SummerSlam 1992. They did good business because Bret and Bulldog are international draws outside of the United States of America, in Europe and Canada, and also internationally. So anyway, this time the roles reverse, but this time Bulldog is now a heel. He's now part of Camp Cornette, because he was part of the Allied Powers with teaming up with Luger. Luger at this moment in time is no longer with the company, so turning heel was a good direction. He's now aligned with his other brother-in-law, Owen Hart. That was a good tag team, underrated tag team. Part of Camp Cornette, and also be part of the Hart Foundation. So anyway, this match is match of the night. By far, match of the night. This match is not on the same level as their first match in 1992, but this was really good. Bret bled buckets. I think one more of the match. Bulldog kind of throwed or clothesline Bret onto the steel steps. Bret's bleeding. There were a lot of ECW chant because this is I think it was like 2 years before. It's funny. The next time they do a show in Philadelphia for the company was In Your House Mind Games. Yeah, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, Paul Heyman. It's funny and then months later they did they invade Raw, and they end up WWF doing this working relationship with ECW. Bret was bleeding, fans were chanting "We want," he's hardcore. Because at the time, this is planting the seeds what the product going to be. The change the presentation of the product. The product was a bit cartoonish. It's not quite in that edgy product yet. It was glimpses what's things to come. Yeah, Bret was bleeding, but it was a good technical style wrestling, good back and forth. I think Bulldog did like a running power slam onto Bret I think it was on the exposed floor or onto the ring or into the ring padding of the ring mat around the ring. He didn't do it inside the ring. I try to keep it short and simple, folks. Bulldog is known for Bret's more for the agility. But Bulldog's more for the also the tactical and the strength. I think he kind of like one more of the match. Bret was going for the suplex, and Bulldog kind of throwed him off onto the top rope. That was cool. And then he ended up doing the throwing Bret into the steel steps and caused the blade job. Anyways, try to keep it short and simple. They did the same pinning cradle spot or the same pin when Bulldog pins Bret at SummerSlam 92. This time Bulldog kicked out. Bret trying to beat Bulldog at this game. Yeah, they also cut screen towards Bulldog's wife, Diana. She looked beautiful. I watched Bulldog's documentary. This months ago. She barely aged a bit, man. I think she's around 50. I don't know. Maybe she was in her 30s at the time. I don't know, man. She looks decent looking. Bulldog's wife, or right at this moment in time, she's widow now, but back then wife. But anyway, so in the end, Bret rolled up Bulldog with the cradle to win this match and retain the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And by the way, winner faced The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. So anyway, it was a good match. I think Bret winning was the right move because he just won the title at Survivor Series. Makes no sense to win the belt at Survivor Series and then the next pay-per-view he's dropping the belt. It's safe for Bulldog, man. I think the next opportunity he'll get was against Shawn Michaels in 1996. It's just what it is. I don't want to beat the horse around, beat the horse to death, man. I don't want to ramble too much. I'm trying to keep it short and simple. But afterwards, there was one segment. Afterwards, you had Todd Pettengill interviewed Paul Bearer and The Undertaker. Out comes Diesel, kind of interfered Undertaker's interview. And he is pissed off. Like I said, he's pissed off because he's not the world champion. And it's just, this is planting the seeds of Undertaker Diesel at WrestleMania 12, because he cost The Undertaker the WWF Championship the following month at the Royal Rumble, and then he turned full-blown heel. And it just set up Undertaker Diesel at WrestleMania 12. You know, Undertaker's doing mind games with the corpse. You know, that's another story for another time. But so yeah, it was a unusual way to. My overall rating of In Your House 5 Season Beatings 1995 is a 4 out of 10. By the way, this show is a 2-hour show, because the In Your House shows are 2 hours compared to the big 5 pay-per-views that were 3-hour shows, but this show sucked. This is a one-match show. That is Brett Bulldog, but the opener was fine, but it doesn't make me go, oh my god, I need to go back and watch this. But yeah, this show sucked. The 2 matches I put in the okay is, you know, Owen versus Diesel and the hog pen match, but man, this show sucked. You know, a lot of segments. The casket match and Ahmed Johnson versus Buddy Landau. Why are you putting this match on a pay-per-view, a squash match on a pay-per-view? You're spending a lot of money, but yeah, this is technically a Monday Night Raw on a weekend. Don't waste your time watching the show. You probably just watch Brett Bulldog. That's it. So yeah, not a good show, but it's trying to get away from the cycle of 1995. Don't worry, folks. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mick Foley will be just around the corner very soon. So, what's your thoughts on In Your House 5 Season Beatings? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash that button. Click the like, click the bell. Subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. Next time, let's travel 4 years into the future, into the Attitude Era. I'm going to review the first Armageddon show. That will be one of the last videos of 2024. So, we got Big Show's first title defense as the World Wrestling Federation Champion against the Big Boss Man, wrapping up their crap storyline revolving around Big Show's dad. And also we got Vince McMahon versus Triple H in a street fight. Until then, this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.